Previously on Why Work in Climate.
Let me tell you why I've dedicated my life to working in climate and why you should, if you wanted to get a career in climate, and this is the best time to jump in. It doesn't matter, you don't have to be a scientist, you don't have to be an engineer. Everyone has a space, has a spot to be able to amplify your impact in the space. You can be a marketer, engineer, project manager, whatever the skills that you have, I believe there's a spot for you. You just need to look deeper. So now, how can we get a career in climate, right? The best thing I found that working in climate is like everyone is super open-minded and welcoming. The best thing about working in climate is actually the people. The community is very welcoming, open-minded, and driven by purpose. So if you're curious about getting started, here's what helped me. First of all, just talk to anyone you know. For example, me, you can interact with me, like what kind of resources that you want, what kind of questions you want more. Interacting with people that you know who are already working in climate, any adjacent kind of even sustainability regulation, whatever. Talk to those people and identify what interests you the most, what you'll be wanting to double down and know more about, what's maybe some skill sets that only you have and these people they also need. Those are all the things that you can explore. And the secondly is join communities. I've joined a lot of online communities. One is MCJ's My Climate Journey. They have a paid community and you sort of need to be somewhat relevant to join, and it's £89 a year, I remember. But it's a very welcoming community. They have people all around the world and they can also matchmake you to meet other people. So I would say for people who are just first dive into climate, if this is valuable for you, if you want to meet more people, it will be a good community. The other one is called Air Mine. So My Climate Journey is everything about climate. Air miners is from the name, you know that they're just like mining the air. What it means is they want to clean up all the CO2 in the atmosphere. So that's the name of air miners. That's the one specifically focused on carbon removal technologies. I benefited greatly from the community. If you're already in carbon removal, you can just get accepted without any payments. There's no fee attached. They have a free course, it's 6-week crash course on everything about carbon removal. It's a self-study group. You just need to dedicate, I think, 2 hours a week to join that group. And after the finish, you can graduate it from the course and then go into the community. They do a lot of free content, which is why I love them. So shout out to all of those people behind the scenes working to make this community bigger and better every day. I can put a link on all the relevance in description below. The third thing is after you get yourself more knowledge about this, you understand what is your contribution can be like and get some knowledge, you wanted to be able to talk to people who are in the space. So the best way is actually to go to conferences. Once you went to the conferences, then you'll be able to know more people who are working in this place every day. I've been to many conferences in the past year or so. I would say that if you go to the similar type of conferences, I guarantee you will meet familiar faces again and again. And so after you meet them many times, becoming much closer to them, and they would let you know what kind of opportunities are there and what kind of trends are in the industry that might be a fit for you. Some of the low-cost ones, even free ones, like New York Climate Week is the entire week. There's so many different events. It doesn't even matter like which one you go to. Sometimes the best way is just to be there. If you go to free events, then there's different levels of information. You can talk to people who also wanted to break into climate. Then you can go to some other events that's not even advertised, and then you can go to those first come first serve events, but it's also free. New York Climate Week, I was there last year. So New York Climate Week is in September. London Climate Action Week is in June. And every year there's people who will just come to this place and talk to people who also work in climate. There's investors, engineers, startup founders, and bankers, and whoever, you name it, important people like Bill Gates. It depends on where you are in your career. If you're students, there's a lot of opportunities, some kind of forum. They always some quota for students to become a volunteer. For example, two of the events I really like is really focused on science And technology itself is all in Europe. The one is Hello Tomorrow. It happens every March in Paris. And then there's the Drop conference. It's around 1,000 people. That's one of my favorite conferences in the past year. I also did my launch events there for my podcast. That one is in Malmo, Sweden. Those two, I've seen a lot of like students or young professionals. They were just there being a volunteer. If you are a volunteer, naturally the ticket is free. If that's something that you are cautious about not going into this kind of event, I encourage you to check them out. Definitely. So networking doesn't have to be that scary, especially in climate. Yes, there will be sometimes I went to these kind of events. I might be a volunteer. I might be someone who doesn't really have an agenda. I would just wanted to talk to more people to understand what is going on, to understand where there are opportunity, what kind of people I can get connected. But eventually, after all of those events, I'd always get something out of it. So yeah, don't be shy. Reach out to people, ask questions, and let them know you're interested in contributing. I believe everyone in climate is trying to get more people working in climate. That's the thing that I always tell people. That's also the thing I always am hopeful about this industry, because there's so many people who wanted to make an impact, and there's so many people who are already making an impact. No matter how small it is, no matter how big it is, everything counts. So I know this is a lot of information and we've only scratched the surface. It's a huge industry. I think climate technology in and of itself is actually going to be a trend and a word that will incorporate into every aspect of our life in 5 to 10 years time, hopefully. If you're curious about any specific sectors, I mentioned like carbon removal, hydrogen, clean energy, let me know in the comments. I'm gonna create more deep dive videos and on what you're most interested in, and also some kind of like podcast resources. A few podcasts I really like about climate. One is Catalyst, the podcast hosted by Energy Impact Partners, which is a investment fund that they invest in a revolutionary climate technologies. And the other one is My Climate Journey. They also have very good content. Last but not least is my own podcast, the Bite Size Climate Tech. I started actually more than a year ago. Now we're on season 3. I talk to climate scientists and engineers who are usually sometimes startup founders in the space, and about one climate technology each time. It's very short, only 5 minutes. My journey in climate is still ongoing, and I hope more and more people can join me in this journey. And don't forget, I'm also working on a Skillshare course that eventually I'll share on this channel. Stay tuned on that one. I wanted to help more and more people get into climate, share about resources, books, and networking skills in the future. The truth is, we don't need to wait for 2025 to act. The solution exists now, and the choices we make today will define the world that we wake up tomorrow. Whether it's just attending a conference, joining a community, start a conversation, take that first step. What excites you the most about working in climate, or maybe finding a purpose? Just simply to work on something you're passionate about. Let me know. I read every comment, and I will try to reply every single comment as well. It's not as hard. Maybe climate is not your thing. It's also fine too. Just as long as there's more people getting the information, getting the exposure of what is actually happening out there, being cautiously hopeful. That's my attitude that will take for the next 25 years until we hit 2050. The climate community is waiting for you, and so is the future. If you like this video, you should check out this video where I talk about networking using LinkedIn. See you next time.